Thursday, did we have a meeting?
Yes, I was there.
Yeah, me and I think Antonio were in the queue. So
What?
I'm guessing you were here alone. Yeah.
In the queue? I didn't see that.
Yeah.
And I kept checking, like, because I was in the meeting for 1 hour and 10 or 20 minutes. But I was trying to ship 1.6. Sorry?
Did you start at winter time?
I don't know. I didn't change my time. And apparently Mike didn't either, because he's in the same time zone as me. So
yeah. And Antoine, I asked him, and he said, "I'm waiting on
that's
the host."
weird. I didn't see any notification. I was surprised because you are always there, the three of you. So I'm like, that's weird that the three of you are not there. And I was in the meeting, and you must have seen me committing stuff. And
yeah, I did, and that's why I was wondering.
Ah, crap. Sorry, that's weird. And I probably think I was the first because I joined Mike right on time, and maybe I don't know. Okay, well, sorry. I'll check next time that happens. I will send a message somewhere on Twitter or I can spend it. I need to install it. Yeah, so I tried to fix 1.6 and the issues for the build and the functional test, and everything was working locally. But I don't understand what's wrong. I changed so many things, looked at documentation, checked the .NET was installed correctly, checked the .NET was in the path. Like, it's like it doesn't find .NET, but it's there. And so I don't know. I have no idea. So we probably will ship without running the functional test, at least on the GitHub Actions, because at that point, I don't know what to do. Okay, so last week for 2023, 1.6 harvest, no demos today. And I just sent the videos this morning to Gabor because I didn't have Skype. And I saw his message on the iPad, and I'm like, okay, I forgot. Now I have Skype installed. For 11.3 demos.
Yes, I might have a demo.
And I hope.
Sure.
I hope it is. Topics, once, twice. And status, what happened? Orchard 1 delivered, so it's the Orchard core, Orchard 1. Because I have to. Stuff happened. I did not check on taxonomyPart, which was trashed on Thursday. Orchard core 4.4, not much. But theme menu alignment. Okay. Sync update, AWS update, and update. So nothing new, but this little thing here. That's it. Nobody worked. Good job, guys.
Well, maybe we should review in the issues so we can get something going. We haven't looked at tickets or issues in about 3 weeks now.
Anything that matter? I don't think that's an excuse to do that. That is not when I say excuse, it's not a blame. I'm just saying doesn't like. I'm sure you work on things before issues are triaged, but maybe explanations or design is missing. In that case, that's fine. But there is so much things everyone has to do usually that's not having the issue open drive is not the issue, it's not blocking. That happens. I mean, there are weeks where there is nothing done. There are weeks there are like too many things done. That's how it goes. And also I wanted to ship 1.6. So I can show you what I mean 1.6. So 1.6. So many comments, but yes. So if I look at the PR for 1.6, I committed directly on that and then run that. So the current status of that thing is, should be able to see it here. So this thing here, yeah, I tried to set another on my variable, but I didn't change. Test runner, the dist one. Okay, so before it was just that. Okay, so just spawn.net build series, which is supposed to work totally fine, but we didn't see anything that was happening. So now, look at that. I was updating that to be sure that we were running this file and the changes I was doing. So, but I'm sure now it's working, so we can remove that. The arguments are in an array build. There is the current folder that is passed here. So it says build this folder wherever .NET is, and build the current folder being where we want to build, and then call .NET from where we want to build. Now I'm calling .NET from where I want to call .NET, and passing the one arm, so configuration release, and passing the framework explicitly. So it just builds the one that we want, that is passed now there. Run options, current dir being user share.net, where .NET is supposed to be installed and available. If it's not in the path, so it should be there. .NET executable. So the next step is to actually, from this folder, call something like ls to list the files, just to be sure it's there. Spawn, now we extract status error stdr stdout. If there is an error, it throws. If status is not 0 and there is something on this stdr, then we throw with the value or we throw with the stdout. And that is not necessary, but it was just to be sure. And yeah, and we say the same thing, like file not found or something like that. So probably that is not found. So that's where I stopped. And this is not required. This should generate that at some point. Yeah, so it still doesn't work. I don't know why. And I tried many things to understand, but next step is to just run, to dump the file system to be sure that .NET is there, or to run something more stupid that .NET runs, but maybe .NET -- list SDK, just to be sure that it's there. So when you change something there, just then go to actions, functional test, run on the release 1.6 branch or another branch. I don't care. And then if you want to branch it to do some tests, you can do it on your own branches. Then the goal is to understand why that doesn't work. So that, and that's it. Demo time. Demo time for mission.
Okay, just a second.
Do you want to release 1.6 or you're going to still try to fix it?
I think I will. Well, we can wait until Thursday if someone finds the solution and then release 1.6 on Thursday, because it's just a tagged one.
Yeah.
Now that I explained that, if anyone here wants to try to do something, if you work on a different branch, like if you branch out of release 1.6, you call it my branch, whatever, and then you do changes there and you go in actions and you run your branch from the, let me show you. You go there, actions, when you go change on your branch, click on functional tests or databases, and then run workflow, and you pick your branch. Like I would pick every time release type like this, and then I run the workflow, and then I look at the output. If you do it with your branch, then multiple people can do that on their own branch and find the solution, and then report what is the issue. Like .NET is not there. I even try to install .NET as a custom step. So yeah, just to understand why the functional tests don't work. And the current issue is.
Did you try merging a master or main back into this?
We've done that recently. So probably even main doesn't work, right? Oh no. So what's possible is that if it works on main and not on no, it should be the same. So we can try that. I can run on main just to see that there's difference from what we did in the release branch, but I don't think so. I even looked at tried to run 1.5 and it was working. So it's something between 1.5 and 1.6. But I could not. What I could not do is run on a specific commit. Like I would have done a dichotomy, like tried a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. But for that, I need to create branches. And so it's probably something that we did for 7.0 breakthrough. But this is the issue here. Sponsing .NET, and meaning it doesn't know what .NET is. So there is an issue with that. And the base image has .NET. So maybe it's a patch, but that's why I tried to run in user share.net to be sure that it was in the folder where .NET is installed. Okay, so feel free to try. And
I'm wondering if you actually merged main into this branch after we took on the Elastic changes, because that PR, all the documentation is part of the 1.6.
Well, we can do that.
Not sure if you did it before.
Oh, yeah. I'll check. We can always merge main right now and be sure it won't do anything. Why don't I see all the branches here? I see them. It's just that I don't have them. Right, okay. If I double click there, last time there, maybe not. So let's do that. Merge to 6. There you go. Can do that when Antoine, if you want to merge that, because that works. Then you can do it again. It's just to have 1.6 usability. So it's that return and just for fun. Just to be sure, run workflow on main, just to be sure that I'm working on main either. And another option would be, see, I tried also with this one, which was 1.5 model. And another option would be to just add a tag. Can we run a tag there? Or just branch. Oh, tag. So we have a fake tag just for fun. A tag that goes over the history just to find what commit broke the run. And then we might understand why it's broken. If it's a commit and not just the system, the base image. Okay. Isham, sorry.
Okay, just a second. Did you see my screen?
Yes. Wow.
Okay. My demo today about the data migration. Last few months, I was exploring some of the migration that we have, and also looked into the underlying APIs, and I realized there is few limitations from my understanding, but you can correct me. If we look into the migration right now, maybe they are easy for simple migration, but it is hard for big one because there are some issues in readability and maintainability. If I look to one of the examples, like the audit trail, this maybe look very simple, but if someone look to one like this in the user migration, I think it is sometimes hard to read and to follow. And another issue, I think we are relying on the reflection, maybe because the naming convention came from Orchard 1, I think. We are using number at the end of each method. Also, from extensibility point, I think both iData migration and data migration are hosted in data.yesql assembly. I'm not sure why. I think it will be nice if we move the iData migration into the data orchard.data assembly. So, and the default implementation, sure, it will be in the YesSQL assembly. So I did a simple prototype here to solve or resolve these above limitations. And also one more thing I forget, the cleanup. I didn't see for now if someone run a lot of migrations or single migration. I'm not sure how you guys clean up the migration for any reason. So for that, I did a simple prototype by splitting the migration that allow you to split the migration into multiple files. So it will be easy to read, easy to maintain. Also, there are no reflection anymore. Where is the sample here? If we look to this migration, for instance, which one, just for a demo, this one, I think it is clear. There is a migration attribute and you can specify the version 1, 2. It depends on the migration identifier or the version, and you have both up and down, something similar like entity framework. And whenever you have the default one is you put your code in the up, so it will be applied when the migration is run, and down if it is necessary, like dropping the table or dropping the indexes and so forth. And also I have view other migration like 0, 2. So each one, I think it is separated from the others. One more thing, from the API point of view, I created an iMigration interface in the data. So the default implementation will be YesSQL. Then if someone else tries to use entity framework or any other data access, he can implement the default migration and it should work. Like this one, where is it? For example, I think there is another migration here into another module. Where is it? It is here. This one. If you notice here, this is a default migration, but if we look to the previous one, like this one, maybe the name is weird, maybe we can call it data migration, but to show you, this is the YesSQL implementation, but this one uses the default implementation, and both are working fine. Now let us try this on action. When I log it in, I go to the features, Google Maps, for example. When I enable the migration for the first time, I call the installing async, and it will try to migrate related. If we go to the database and refresh the tables, there should be a products table shows up, and also there's an entry here that
Just
shows
refreshing the screen for me. It's just me or everyone?
what?
The screen is still frozen
Sorry?
on the features page for me. Is it the same
Yeah,
for
it's
everyone?
freezing.
Oh,
Yeah,
now I'm on.
now we
different screen.
switched.
Okay.
Sorry, maybe there's a delay. Now,
okay.
if we notice, there is a product table added, and also there is a migration entry, a single migration entry for the applied migration. And if we go again to the Graphitar module and I enable this one, again, it will execute the migrations. 3 migrations should be. When I go to database, there should be a customers table, for instance, added. And also there should be another view entries added, 3 migrations. Okay, 1, 2, 3. That come from that module. What else now, which is, I think, the important one. When I go again to the, sorry, to the graphic, there is an option that you can disable, which is by default to enable or disable the feature. And there's another option to kind of uninstall that disable the features and clean all the related migration or data from database. So when I hit disable and wipe, yes, it will call uninstall async and it will roll back all the migration from database. And again, hopefully, if we go here and refresh, the customers table is gone. Also, all the migration entries are gone too. I think that's it. Just a simple prototype to show that it works. Any feedback is welcome.
The migration updater is the same as before?
Yeah, one more thing. Regarding NOP, if you notice here, all the migration in the Orchard core should be here. Okay. At the first time, I integrated with the other migration and it worked fine, but for one reason, I think, and I will show you. Just where is it? Just for this reason, I'd like to use long instead of integer. For that, I created another entry. But if I use the integer value like the orchard, I can use the same entry and it should work fine. And you have both options if you wanna use
The new default in Orchard is long. It's not integer anymore.
For new sites.
I think it is integer.
No, for new instances, it's long. For existing instances, it's integer.
Maybe because I'm using the NuGet package for that.
I don't have that thing. It's brand new.
Yeah, maybe. That's it. Also from API perspective, there's an abstraction here. There's a simple interface I migration, which has up and down. And there's an abstract class called migration. And where is it in the SQL? There's an implementation which simply has schema builder, something exactly similar to what we have in Orchard core. So anyone want to use the SQL migration, he can use the advantage of schema builder. And if you notice here in the example, which I show you, this one is using schema builder. That all we knows, but this one not. Where is it? Yes, this one not, because I use the default migration, so I could use Dapper or any data access library you want.
I have
And
lots of questions and comments when you're
Oh,
ready.
okay, all the feedback are welcome. Okay, I think it is done.
So you started with a question about why is it done this way. So I will tell you, and then it will also answer and comment on what you do. It's
Okay.
done. You ask first, why is it numbers like update from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yes.
Okay. So when we started that design and that migration, there was no such thing as entity framework migrations. We were the first to have those migrations in .NET. There was no such thing as there is another framework right now like that uses up down also. I don't remember the name that has data migration. It didn't exist either. So we didn't have a product that could be reused, but it was in our trip already. Thank you, Antoine. DB up, that's good now. So
Thanks.
we designed something. Okay.
Thanks.
And when I say we, mostly Louis and I joined. When I joined, I know it was not yet done when I joined the project. So yeah, I was part of design, but mostly Louis Desjardins was the architect of Contrib at that time. It was 13 years ago or 14 years ago. So it was very old. But why is it done this way? I see an issue when I see up down. When I see up down, you have to create a down for each up. Okay. So it means that if you have 5 migrations and each of them creates a column, then you will run 5 downs, which each of them will delete a column and then delete the table. So I don't know how you can handle the fact that you can just run 1 down, which is just delete the table. That's the first comment. The second comment of this design is that where in the UI do you say go down by 1? No, you go down for everything.
Yeah.
So in this case, you can't optimize for down for everything. With our design, there is 1 down. It's called cleanup. I don't know if you saw that, but in the data migration interface, there is a cleanup function. Oh, it's by convention. So by reflection, if you have a cleanup method, we will call it on uninstall. So today is just that nobody has implemented cleanup for anything, but it's there. You can call cleanup. I like your idea that is disable the feature and optionally run the cleanup. That's great. And maybe it could be already done with the current implementation. So if you look at the reflection, you should find something like that. So you see the issue with up down is that it's almost too granular because you have so many downs to call. And also you have so many ups, like you have to call all the ups with the 1 return number pattern. What we do is when we create an update from 3, we can also update the create method such that if it's the creation, we just have 1 step to run to have the correct status. We don't have to run all the ups. So that's why I think it's interesting to have this create, update from, and uninstall. Okay, you commented that. That's great. Is that no? You didn't write that. It's us. It's in the documentation. So whoever wrote the documentation gets the thing here: uninstall and uninstall async. So maybe we should, yeah. So I think the design here for Orchard, and that's typical for anti-framework. Maybe it's different. For other application, maybe it's different. But I like the design that there is a very specific entry point that's called create that lets us run it once and say skip everything else by returning 10. So it won't run the update from 1 to update from 9 and then return 10 because we know that, okay, with create, it's perfect. We don't need to do all the individual updates, but we still have all the individual updates for the people who come from an existing status. And even update from 1 can just do 1 thing and then say, okay, you're up to date. You don't need to run the 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's very powerful, I think, in terms of granularity. because it might be dangerous to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, because 1 might create a column, 2 might delete the column, 3 might lose some data because of the migration process, and it might be cumbersome. So it's good to be able to run one thing that returns the correct status because it knows how to optimize it. You see what I mean? Compared to up, down. So that's one thing. I like the fact that you separate SQL from the migration. I will do it differently though, but that's a good option. I mean, to have the SQL migration, that's good. And maybe what you could do is have use the I instead to inject the data schema, the ISQL migration, for instance, in any migration class. Because the way you did it for entity framework, you don't have a base class for entity framework. So I wonder why you might not want to do that also for a migration where you could use both the SQL and entity framework and Dapper and whatever you want, just by using DI when you need it. So that might be a way to do that. Just so I agree, move the migrations out of SQL, but have the SQL migration thing that can provide the schema builder, because if you use SQL for some module, then you need to be able to create a tables, document, and so on. So that. What else? I'm sorry, I'm not letting you talk. You want to talk?
One more thing regarding your comment. By running all the apps, I think I followed the same what EF did. It will check the applied migration. So if one of these migration is already applied, it will not call up anymore.
I agree. I'm not saying that. Sorry, I'm just saying now if nothing is applied, you have a new site. What does it run?
It will run.
Okay.
Oh, yes. It will run
Okay.
all
now,
the
and then another one. So this is the first argument. And then the other argument is you're on version 5 and you have 10 more versions to run. It will run from 5 to 15. Okay.
Yeah.
If you have our model, you can say, no, you're from 5, run this one, and then you are up to date. You don't need to run the next one because I know how to tell you from 5 to the perfect state. You see, that's something else we can do with that EF count.
Yeah.
So that's why I think our model is actually better in this way to optimize the migration.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, people usually run it as soon as there is a new update. They update it. So there is one up every time they update their process, their feature. It's not like, oh, we have 10 things to update, 10 steps. But in Orchard, it's how it works, because people will migrate from 1.0 to 1.5, and then the crate knows how to do everything. So it's better to just run the crate. Or yeah, I think it's a good one. I like the thing we do.
One comment, just, I mean, I don't have a biased opinion here, but one thing with the up and down that could be has more advantage is that maybe you can register these migration to a specific version. Like if you're upgrading from version 4 to version 5, right, instead of running all the migration regardless of, so you can only target the migrations that you want. Right, because right now, if let's say we roll out version 1.6, right, and then I realize there's a big problem, I need to roll back to a previous image. Well, the database, I can't roll it back, right? So I think that's one disadvantage of having the 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying there is no down path from there.
I agree. But yeah, there is a down path because we don't have the notion of step up, step down.
Yeah. Right.
We run, make me up to date to the code, or clean everything. There is no, and that's why we tell people just back up your database before you do an upgrade. That's also how we enter the rollback, back up your database. I agree. But then also it would mean that we can only have an up method that is granular. So if you want to be able to run one up and one down, everything has to be in one up and in one down.
This could be doable. Yep. I think this could be doable, but it needs a lot of work in the UI.
No, I'm not saying it's good to have. Like, it's not even good because still, even if you had that, I mean, it's not about not being able to do that because what you did is that. What I'm saying is that when we ship 1.6, every migration should have only one up, so we can go back only one down to 1.5. And sometimes we can't do that because sometimes we have like in between 1.5 and 1.6, we have 3 different migrations to run because we did 3 different changes and people use that and they need to be able to upgrade from that state. I don't know. So I'm not saying it's a good thing to have one up and one down. Even the UI doesn't show that. Like, I think it's, yeah. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Our migrations are not linked to our versions that we ship. That's why we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's just a number. That's a status. And I still like the create, the uninstall, and the updates from to be able to skip things. One thing I like to have in Orchard, compared to our current model, is that when a migration class is here, that it runs. So we have like a 0. That means I've been run once, even if create hasn't been called. Like, and when we install the feature, then create is called. But at least we know, because we are missing the fact that it was run, it was installed, not installed, yeah, maybe installed, but we are missing a pre-initialization value, like not written from create. I don't remember the case. I hope Jean-Pierre will remember, but it's obvious when we build migrations that I don't know why, but yeah, the fact that there is a migration class but nothing ran, that would be interesting to know that it's there and store it in the database, like store 0 somewhere or -1, just to know that we noticed there is a class, but we haven't run anything yet. Fine, something like that. I think we are missing that. Okay. So what else?
Okay, but I think one problem when I use the current migration, maybe some others, is the number. If you missing the number of you by accidentally put another number, for example, you want to create to put 2 and put 3, I think it will be problematic. So I think here someone could be careful with this number because it is by convention.
Okay. So how do we fix it? How do we... let me
Hisham, yeah, I think if you want to improve this, there's a couple ways. First of all, if you use from 2, you can't return 2 because otherwise you're going to create an infinite loop, right?
Yep.
So if there's an infinite loop, maybe you can just throw an exception so that way someone can fix it. That's one way. Another way to improve the data migrations, that's just me personally, is create something called something like update 2 6 or 7 or whatever, which is used to down from one to another. So like if you want to undo or roll back a change to kind of undo the changes, I think that would be very helpful.
That's what my point earlier. How do you roll back? Where do you type the number 26 or 2 or 3? How back do you roll back? How many steps do you roll back? I don't know how to say. I don't know if you know as a user, and then how do you enter that? How do you say you click rollback and the code is like, how much do you want me to roll back?
Yeah.
I mean, we would know the status. Right? So
wait.
Well, it's in database, right?
But it ran like five steps. Okay. So imagine I have 1.6. I install Orchard 1.6, and one of the migrations has 15 steps, like 2 from Orchard 1.1, 3 from Orchard 1.2, 0 from orchard 1, 3, and so on. Okay, and it's currently the step update from 15. Now you say roll back. Where does it roll back to? To 1.5, to the migration that was installed in 1.5? No, because we are not linked to the version. Like you might have created your own module that is in orchard 1.5, 1.6, okay? And your own module has went through 50 different migrations on 1.6. So when you say rollback, do you roll back from 1 day, 1 week, 1 migration? That doesn't mean anything. Rollback.
Maybe we need a way to be able to link a migration to a version, a release version. So you can say, hey, go ahead and I'm not sure what's the right answer, but yeah. I think it's a problem we have and it can be improved. So someone need to think about a good way to roll back.
We could say at some point, take a snapshot to say this is the migration status, and it will take the number of all of the migration classes. And then you can run your migration and say, go back all migrations to the previous status. And you go down up to the versions where you said, store the status right now. Like I'm about to do migrations. Remember where you are right now, because I might want to go back. But imagine, you need to have a down for each of the ups we have. This is what Hisham is suggesting. And but we can't even, sometimes we can't even do that, because sometimes we jump, because we know we can go faster to the last step. So we don't know how to go down to each of the steps. And yeah, I mean, it's even easier for me to just say back up the database, and if you have an issue, restore the database.
Yeah, that's also not an easy. That's not an easy thing if you have many or big databases. I mean, I don't, but I'm just saying to some people do.
And it could also be files and not just database. So that's hard to. That's why I'm saying, yeah, let's not try to be more clever than what it is to do something correct when we do a migration of a product. Like, so going back to the naming and the fact that we, what did I say about the naming? Yeah, the from 2, from 3, and so on. Maybe we could change that and have attributes. Like you can name your method the way you want, but there is an attribute that says this is the number or this is the name, and then you can return the name of the next step, which is based on an attribute, maybe. So it's not like by convention that your method has to be named this way. So there is less, there is still reflection, but maybe less. Maybe we could have something that is based on attributes. And so how did you say that you are not handling by reflection? Because there are attributes on the class, because they have one method, okay. Maybe we could have that. Maybe we could have each migration be a different class that you call whatever you want. And it just has one method that is always the same and returns always an integer, like we do today, for the name of the next migration to execute, or the status. So maybe something less based on reflection, and that will work the same as today and will probably be compatible with what we have in the database. So we are not missing anything. So I'm totally okay with that. But you can't have an up-down. You could use DI still. It should not be in SQL module. You should be able to inject some SQL thing to access the data schema, the SQL schema, whatever. I don't know how it's called. You could use EF. So you could have 5 classes that will run one after the other, one using SQL, one using EF, one using the both of them. They could all have a cleanup method or an install or whatever. And you can skip also. So you can return something that will skip migrations. Yes. So when you have something, you can say, okay, I'm done. And the attribute will say what is the order. Okay, I like it. It can be any number. Okay, I like it. And your name of the class can tell you what is the number, but we rely on the attribute. But the naming of the class could have a number. I don't like so in EF, the name in the class, in the file, defines the order. I don't like it. I prefer to have the migration, but at the same time, to be able to understand how it's built. When you look at the file system, it might be better to just have. Okay, we don't use that, but it's by convention to order the things. Okay, and you can give it a name and comment on what it's. Okay, I see. Okay, yeah. So that are good ideas. I think to remove some conventions that are cryptic, like from 2, from 3. Would be great also to have. Will the cleanup? Yeah, the cleanup will also return the version to go down, because you could clean up from 5 and say, when you have run the cleanup, you don't have to run anything. Or you could say return 4, because you say, okay, you have to run now the cleanup from 4 because I don't want to run that. 4 does that. Yeah. Okay, so a method to execute, a method to clean up, so which is down, but it's not calling down. It's clean up, and you return where to go next when you clean up. The first migration is the create, but it's not called create. It's just the first migration. So I like it. I would like it. Yeah, well, you can continue this effort based on our feedback if you want.
Okay.
And
also,
I'm really sure
also, I think it will be nice if we have kind of cleanup or wiping data from the UI, because
yes,
sometimes we are suffering. Yes, when you're trying to clean up
I understand
your migration.
I get it.
Okay,
So
thank you.
No, that's a good idea, good effort, Isham, to discuss the design of some things, and I like it. I like it, and also based on the usage, right? Because this design has been taken from 13 years ago. So in the meantime, there's been 30 years of people using that and giving feedback.
I think Orchard Core using in Hibernative.
Orchard 1 was using an Hibernate, yes.
Yes, it's Orchard 1. Sorry, there's no notion of migration there.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Nope. Awesome. Thanks a lot. Any other questions, comments? I'm surprised Sotiris has nothing to say about it.
Yes.
Because of his experience and what else? Your status 1.6. I miss anything? Time. That's that. We lost Hisham, but he's back. Yeah, sometimes when I want to unshare, I click.
Yes.
Because the cross means leave, but it's not the cross you need to click. It's the stop sharing. So yeah, sometimes I do the same thing. I leave the meeting instead of stop sharing. Okay, so we're done then. See you on Thursday, and I will know that if I don't see you, it's because you are waiting. And we ship 1.6 on Thursday, even if we haven't found a way to run the functional test, but I'm pretty sure someone will find the solution. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.